that I misspoke and said I supported the President's position on containment. If I said that, it meant to say that obviously his position on containment, we don't have a position on containment.
Chuck Hagel with an inauspicious start at his Senate confirmation hearing. There he's talking about Iran policy. We're back with the panel. Interestingly, Charles, when the president comes out today, at the exact same moment that he's with Chuck Hagel and Vice President Biden announcing this resignation, Secretary Kerry is across the world announcing that the deal with Iran has fallen through. It is going to be pushed back, delayed, with a new deadline of July of next year.
What an amazing coincidence. I mean, there was no way they could have held on to Hagel for another day or two. The reason is they wanted a distraction from what is a complete failure, this extension. Remember, 10 months ago we were told we were in a last-ditch negotiation with Iran. It would last 6 months. We would relax sanctions in order to encourage their cooperation, which of course is completely illogical. It's the exact opposite. But we relax sanctions, and as a result, in 6 months, if we don't have a deal, if Iran doesn't stop the program as we have demanded in 6 UN resolutions, then we will reimpose sanctions. The president said the sanctions are reversible. What happens at the end of the, and incidentally, Congress insists on passing a bill that would say after 6 months sanctions are increased, we increase the pressure, which would be, incidentally, the only way you could ever get Iran to cut back on the program if you hurt its economy to the point where the regime thinks it's going to be ousted. And it takes away all that pressure. What we get is a 4-month extension that ended yesterday, and what we got was an announcement without any preparation of a 7-month extension, which means the sanctions remain relaxed. The Iranian economy is rebounding. The pressure on Iran is diminishing, and it gets closer and closer every week to acquiring a bomb.
Mark.
Well, you're saying the sanctions had already been relaxed. They're not going to be relaxed as a condition for going forward for 7 months.
They remain relaxed.
They remain relaxed.
And they are getting weaker by the month.
Well, the White House believes it couldn't get any European cooperation in making them tougher right now. And what the White House is holding out for, and I don't think they're going to get it in 7 months, they didn't get it now, is this idea that Iran will have a nuclear program that will take a year to, quote, break out, you know, to get to the point where they can make a bomb. I can't imagine they're going to get it in 7 months.
Juan.
Well, I think that the question becomes what happens in the interim. Here you have a situation where you have a number of parties, most prominently Israel, watching on the sidelines, very nervous about what the United States might agree to that they would find unacceptable in terms of the Iranian capacity to ramp up quickly and to get a bomb. So what does Israel do now in the midst of all their tensions at home, and what are the other players who have been standing on the sideline carping, including the Arab countries, but also I think in this country you hear lots of criticism from Republicans who say Obama's giving up the shop.
Not just Republicans. I mean, Senator Bob Menendez, other Democrats have stepped up as well.
Okay. But I think that the whole idea from the Obama administration perspective is, and I don't think it's only Obama, if you can get a deal here, this is a good thing. And we should make every effort possible to bring Iran into the global family.
I think we're losing sight of just how strange this is. Is there any precedent in history for negotiations like this? In the SALT talks with the Russians, we had a shared symmetry of vocabulary. We talked about their number of missiles and our number of missiles, their throw weights and our throw weights, where they were placed and where ours were placed. We all agreed we each had missiles. Now we're having this extraordinary negotiation about a nuclear weapons program that the other side says does not exist. And but that, I mean, you laugh, and it may be laughable, but in fact it's a very strange negotiation.
Do they get a deal in this now extended time?
The administration desperately wants a deal. It needs something to proclaim that it's had some success abroad, where everything, its positions everywhere, from Russia to Saudi Arabia to Turkey, everywhere are collapsing. And it's trying to give away the store. But the Iranians aren't saying no because they're already continuing the rebuilding. The plutonium facility, as simply one example, is proceeding apace. This is a parallel program to uranium enrichment. that they have nothing to lose. All they care about are sanctions, which are eroding as we speak. It's already exporting a lot more oil than it's supposed to be allowed. Nobody is complaining, so why should the Iranians agree? It would put a theoretical cap on their program, but they want everything, and I think that they are right in estimating the weakness of this administration's negotiating position.
You know, there's one new element in January when the Republicans take over the Senate. I think they'll be able to pass something that says Congress will have a say in this. And that's going to be hard to oppose.
And because Harry Reid has prevented it from moving forward.
But why wouldn't the President allow Congress to put the pressure on Iran by passing a law saying, if there is no agreement, we will then impose the sanctions and strengthen the sanctions? I do not understand what the logic is in not passing that to put pressure on Iran.
We will have